Hi guys, it's Charlotte here from charlotteohara.ca, and in today's video I am going to be telling you exactly why I build all of my client websites on Squarespace. So before I begin, I want to say that Squarespace is not necessarily the best platform out there, but it is the platform that works best for me and my business and the clients that I serve. And I'm excited to go through some of those reasons with you here today and give you some insights into how and why I run my business on this particular platform and what I see is some of the wins and the no-brainers that make sure that I stick with Squarespace after all of these years. All right, so like I mentioned, I am a web designer and developer, and I work predominantly with services-based businesses in professional fields, like a lot of lawyers, consultants, creative entrepreneurs, things like that. And I built all of the websites on Squarespace, and I have for several years. It's a platform that I know like the back of my hand. I love working with it. It gives me a huge amount of freedom and flexibility, all of that kind of stuff. But that's not to say that you can't get similar results on other platforms. Like WordPress is, arguably a much bigger platform, and some people think that it is the best platform out there. I don't necessarily agree that it's the best, but I think that Squarespace works really well for me, serves all of my needs. I can get all of my client work done how I want it to, and I want to give you some insights into that right now. So like I mentioned, let's talk first about comparing platforms, right? So, when we come to building websites, there are many different platforms that you can use. There's WordPress, there's Squarespace, which is what I use. There's also things like Shopify or Showit or Wix even. All of those things are platforms. When I first started out my business, I used to use WordPress. That was what I used because it was a platform that I had first started using. I, kind of thought that maybe it was the best option out there. And I still do love and use WordPress on occasion, but it's not what I use to build all of my client websites anymore. And I don't offer websites on WordPress anymore at all. So I'm not saying in this video or in this blog post that one platform is better than the other. I'm just saying that Squarespace is what works best for me and in my business and the type of clients I serve. So don't take this as me bashing another platform. I'm just more raising the vibes of one particular platform here. So let's talk about it. Why do I love Squarespace so much? Why does it work so well for me and the type of clients that I serve? And I would say that arguably the very first reason is because it's so simple and easy to use. Anyone can at least get a basic understanding of it, even if they're not the ones doing the majority of the build themselves. So when it comes to Squarespace, I think this is one of the biggest selling points for it, and what makes it such a massive platform with so many benefits for me and the clients that I serve. So like I mentioned, all of my client websites are on Squarespace. Many times I'll have a client that starts off on WordPress and then we move them to Squarespace and do all the website redesign work on Squarespace and things like that. And then every time I finish up a client website project, we always finish with a basic tutorial where I show them how they can make updates to their website moving forward. They can change things like the headers or the text or add images, a button, all of those kind of things that they want to do after we've built the website or redesigned it for them. And as I'm going through, the biggest comment that they always say is, oh my God, this is so much simpler or so much easier to use. And they're thrilled with that because it's true, there's much less confusion with a platform like Squarespace. It's much more intuitive, using things like the content blocks. It makes sense, right? People can go through, it's visual, the drag and drop, all of these different features make it so that once I build the website, clients can go forward and make updates themselves. They can maintain it a lot easier, all that sort of thing. So in my opinion, this is the biggest selling point for a platform like Squarespace, is just the simplicity and how easy it is to use. And again, that self-sufficiency that my clients can have moving forward, you can't understate that enough. All right, the second point that I want to say is that it's with Squarespace, one of the biggest things that I love about it is how easy it is to build and maintain websites on this platform. So this is one of the major reasons why I switched to building Squarespace websites as opposed to websites on WordPress or other platforms. And that's because the drag and drop features make it so easy to build, and using all the different content blocks, really customizing the website whether it's the web page, the blog post, whatever it is, to look and function exactly how I want it to is like amazing, in my opinion. You know, you can do all of this without having to dig really deep in the code or make major customizations to a theme if you're working on like WordPress or something like that. So in my opinion, there are two main reasons why this works so well for me. So like the first one is that like as a web designer and developer, working with Squarespace platform means that I can work a lot faster. So this means I can serve my clients in a shorter period of time. And ultimately I can then take on more clients if I want to, which is a good thing for not only client experience, but then also for my business and my bottom line. The second reason why this is so great is that my clients prefer Squarespace and working on that after the project wraps up because they're so much more confident in making changes to existing content themselves. So it's a little bit what I just talked about here, but they know that they can easily use it. They can easily manipulate web pages that I've already built for them by like making changes, updates to things like images or text, or they can swap out the banner, right? Make different headers, like maybe if I've linked a PDF onto a button or something, they can make those changes themselves. So that simplicity is really wonderful here. So if the client is responsible for maintaining the website after I've built it for them, then they can go ahead and do that easily. They can make regular updates on their own and feel confident in knowing that the process that they have in place is going to work well. It's not a terrifying platform to use. So again, instead of like tweaking the design elements or like on a platform like WordPress, they'd have to deal with things like updating plugins or whatever. Instead, I've built them a website on Squarespace, which is amazing. It serves them whether they're selling products or their services, things like that. And it's just one of the biggest advantages in my opinion. All right, another reason why I love Squarespace and I think it's such a great platform to build on for my clients is that there are limitations to it, and that is a great thing for us. And if you're kind of like, wait, what? Like, why would a limit be a good thing? Then let me explain that to you, right? So within Squarespace, it's a platform that offers an amazing amount of customization, but you do have to do it within certain confines of their templates. So what they're doing is Squarespace offers you a bunch of different templates that you can choose from. Those are basically like existing frameworks that you can then go ahead and customize, right? So this is something that I love because, yeah, there are limitations built into their platform or their templates, but it's a relatively small number of like templates to be dealing with, unlike WordPress, where there are literally like thousands of independent theme providers or something. So with Squarespace, you're basically saying, okay, pick one of their existing templates and then go ahead and customize it. And Squarespace is going to be the one responsible for maintaining those templates that they own and build and provide for you. So you don't have to worry about them, like WordPress's nearly endless limit of themes or things like that. Another point that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, so it's like that lack of choice actually is a better thing because it means we can decide what we want from like a design element, all the functionality, things like that, much quicker, which means that we're not spending so much time worrying about all the different like design options. Instead, we can just jump forward and start with the build. So this is something I love because you're working within a design, the confines of a template, but within that you still have a huge amount of creativity and customization available. And once you become more experienced, or if you are working with someone like me who's like a professional designer or developer, then I can go ahead and do even more advanced things like add custom CSS or things like that. And this is wonderful because it makes sure that you end up with a website that is unique and true to you and your brand, but it still fits within what Squarespace is giving you to work with. So I think it's wonderful to remember too that having these limits in place is actually a good thing because Squarespace is taking care of so much of like the heavy lifting for you, but you're agreeing to work within these limits because you know and you trust them that they are going to make sure that everything is working as it will, all of the features and functionality plays well together, and that you're not getting hung up on things like, I don't know, like updating a plugin or adding a certain widget and seeing about compatibility. All right, let's move on now to the next point that I love and one of the big selling points for me about Squarespace, and that is design and functionality. So like I said, one of the things that I love is that I work with small professional businesses, and a lot of them, they have certain common elements that they want to have in terms of what they want their web design to look like and what functionality they want built into their website. And I love it because Squarespace means that I can do everything that they need, and I can do it quickly, efficiently, and in a way that is easy to maintain moving forward. So some of the design elements that I like to incorporate in my website are things like white space, or simple formatting, things like a lot of padding between the images and the text, or if I want to add padding onto a banner image, like something like that. All of that is easy to do in Squarespace. It's just a matter of setting it up and kind of making tweaks to the customization. And Squarespace is great because they really get it. They understand that you want to have control and customizations for the design. So they do that. They offer so many different design elements, but they also incorporate lots of functionality directly into their platform using things like the content blocks. So whether you're trying to add a marketing element like a pop-up or an announcement bar, a newsletter section, they've even started their email campaigns. Like all of this functionality is directly built into Squarespace, and that's an amazing selling point for me because everything is there. It's clearly formatted. It's available services that play nicely together. You're not trying to hack a platform with another platform or deal with plugins, all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's great because they're saying, here's what we offer. And then on the design front, they're like, this is what you need, none of the stuff that you don't. Okay, another point that I would like to talk about is how Squarespace is actually a really cost-effective option for my clients. So, when it comes to another type of website, maybe you have to think about things like the domain and the hosting and the cost of a premium theme, but then also all that ongoing tech support and hiring a developer to make a change to your website all the time, that adds up in a major way. Whereas with Squarespace, you pay a fee, whether that's monthly or annually, and with that, everything is covered. So they, you can in fact get your domain directly through Squarespace. They offer custom email addresses through their integration with the Google Mail platform, whatever Google Apps. I'm blanking right now, but whatever it is. The template is included as well. It's mobile responsive. They have 24-hour chat that you can ask questions to, so you don't really need to work with a developer if you don't want to. All of these different things. So there's much more bang for your buck there. It can be a much more cost-effective option because with a different platform that's a lot harder to use and where my clients don't have confidence in making those changes themselves, ultimately over time, it can be a much more cost-effective option. Another point that I'd like to talk about is how good Squarespace is with social media integration. So with Squarespace websites, you can very easily connect all of your social media profiles to your Squarespace website. So whether that's your Facebook account, your Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube channel, all of those kind of things, you can integrate it to your Squarespace website and make sure that you have little social media icons or something on it. But then you can also take things a step further and let's say display your Instagram feed in the footer section of your website. Or maybe you want to share any tweets that contain a certain hashtag, or I don't know, things like that. All of that functionality and the way that Squarespace cares a lot about integrating social media with your website means that it's just great functionality and also a good way to make sure that traffic is coming and flowing really nicely between different platforms. Okay, and then that brings us to the final point, which I guess I've kind of talked about in all of these, which is that with Squarespace, you have a lot less website worries in general. So like I mentioned, you're not worrying about different aspects of things like the domain and the theme and plugins and widgets and integrations or whatever. All of that can be an absolute nightmare. And if you're not regularly updating it, backing all of those different things up on a platform like WordPress, then you really risk things like security breaches or hacks even, or even things like if you're not updating a plugin, then it could expire, or you're using a version that's not compatible and it throws everything off and ruins the experience. Whereas if you're using a platform like Squarespace, it's all hosted and they maintain most things for you. So it just means that like from a usability point of view, there's way less worry to have to keep in mind, or like way less troubles that can arise. Instead, the whole point of Squarespace is that it's content driven. Like they want you to be able to build a website that works and that contains all of the content that you need in order to run your business and effectively have an online presence. And they don't want you to get hung up on things like the technical integrations or, you know, like the functionality, all of that kind of stuff. So for me, that's one of the biggest selling points and why I build all of my client websites on Squarespace. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some good insights into why I have chosen to build all of my client websites on Squarespace, why I love this particular platform so much. And again, like I said, I'm not saying that one platform is better than the other. I'm just saying for me and my needs and what I need to work with my business, this is what I've decided works best. So if you like this video, you can like it. You can leave me a comment down below sharing some of your thoughts. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So here on my YouTube channel, you'll find lots more videos all about Squarespace and SEO, website design and development, other tech tips like that. I also have lots more content over on my blog, which is at charlotteohara.ca. So check that out as well if you'd like to get even more content related to any of those topics. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon.